Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry, not EP Graphic, and that's the Stoner. And this is the day after reckoning where we here on Ref the District break down the game the day after Washington plays. And it was a doozy, a 2020 tie. Yep, hindsight's 2020, Heineke's 2020 in this case. We bring this live to you every day after Washington plays on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 7:30 Eastern live. And again, no Trev here because Trev is taking care of business at the Sky Bar. You can catch him in Lexington at the Sky Bar. If you mention Ref the District, you will get yourself one free drink on us. That's right. All you have to do is mention Ref the District. Your first drink is on us. And that's there at the Sky Bar in Lexington. We're also brought to you by Pacers Running. For every run, they've got you taken care of. All you have to do is go out to Pacers Running. You can get yourself a virtual fitting and order your shoes online, and they will take care of you because they love your feet more than you do. And then, of course, Manscaped. Head out to manscaped.com. Use the promo code REF for 20% off. Get yourself free shipping with that as well. Holidays coming up. You want to make sure that you are looking fresh for those holidays because that is important. It might just kind of spice up your little love life there. It was a spicy day yesterday, Stoner. I'm sorry you missed it. And that is the key question everybody wants to know. Is the furniture in the house okay there at the Stoner household?
Nothing got broken. Let's see. There were plenty of fist pumps. There was a lot of foot stomping. A few things may have got thrown across the room, but nothing broken. So I think that's a win on this side. It was kind of even, kind of like the game. Everything kind of evened out. So some good stuff happened. Some bad stuff happened at the house, but nothing was broken. Even Steven. It's kind of like a tie.
That is the case. We do have some news to break to you. I know you were trying to watch our stream yesterday. You were taking care of family in the area. So you might not have heard, but you were fired.
From what job?
You were being replaced on the graphics. EP is going to take that job as EP was on point. As soon as things happened, it was click right there. She did it for us. We didn't have to wait. No one was yelling at scoreboard. It was, and so I'm sorry to let you go in such a public setting like this.
Oh no, I'm so heartbroken. I am very upset and despondent over being fired. That sucks.
Now we do appreciate EP jumping in, and if she's available, I'm sure we'll use that going on here. We got several people in the chat to include EP looking good in that Chase Young jersey and the in her profile pic there. Mike Lee in the house, Craig and Metaphor all here. Absolutely, Mike. It was kind of annoying that we tied. I mean, how did you kind of talked a little bit about it, Stoner, about kind of there's some ups, there's some downs. It ended in a tie. What did you feel about this game?
Well, kind of overall is that I thought Washington kicked New York's Giants' ass all over the field, up and down the field. But as has been the case in most of the games so far this year, this offense is just absolutely holding this team back from doing great things this year. This defense is incredible. Now, they weren't perfect yesterday. They let Daniel Jones kind of get out in space and let him complete a lot of passes. But look what they did in the second half, Nathan. They came back in the second half. The Giants had 19 plays for 21 yards in the second half. They did nothing in the second half. They had 20 yards on the one drive after Heineke fumbled to start the third quarter.
5 plays, 20 yards, ended in a touchdown.
And so from there on, they had 14 plays for a grand total of 1 yard.
Yep, the rest 3 and out. Yeah, 3 and out with their next drive, right? So 3 plays, 9 yards, punt. Then a 3 plays, -5 yards, punt. 4 plays, -2 yards, punt. 3 plays, 0 yards, punt, and then the end of the half. By the way, that last drive of theirs completely baffling to me. There was just a lot of questionable decision making from most everyone in this one, but they take the ball with that drive at their 25-yard line. 1 minute, 45 seconds left. They call 3 deep passes. Incomplete on all of them, and punt the ball back to Washington with 1:28 left to go. And Percy Butler doesn't get called for unnecessary roughness. They are in good position they're at the 24-yard line. They need in a minute 28. They just needed a little bit, and at that point, Washington was doing all right. I mean, they went 26 yards, not great, but they had a chance there in regulation. Washington did. So did the Giants, and this was what was weird to me. This tie, like it was like nobody wanted to win. The play calling at the end was crazy. You have Giants play calling that way, where they're calling these 3 deep passes when they have all the time in the world to march down, 3 timeouts, and instead they give Washington the chance to win. Washington says, no, I don't really want to win. Let's go into overtime. And that's how their play calling worked out. And then in the overtime, we kind of talked about this on Twitter, and this is kind of the big talk. That play calling at the end was scared play calling. It was absolutely playing to tie the game. What can you make of Ron's? We're not going to talk about the Giants. We'll have Authentic on for next week, not this week, next week. Kind of talk about that play calling and where they are mindset wise. But for Ron, Riverboat Ron, he went for it on 4th and 4 and then kind of went cold.
He had to go for it on 4th and 4 because they were down 7 at the time when he went for it. That was his only time going for it on 4th down. So they had to on that one. But the rest of the game, I thought they were the play calling was kind of all over the place during that time. But I was okay with that 3rd down, 3rd and 10 from their own 10, I believe it was. People will correct me if I don't have that perfectly, but I think it was 3rd and 10 from their own 10 with less than a minute left.
Run with Gibson.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. You cannot. Yes, it is scared play calling, but it's scared play calling because look what you have going for you and what you have to lose if you don't run that play, because you're going to allow, if it's an incomplete pass, you're going to stop the clock for the Giants. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to give them that opportunity to have more time on the clock, so where they could have gotten possibly closer. Yes, but the play calling was atrocious on both sides.
That was their last drive in overtime. It was 3 plays for 5 yards. It was 1st and 10 at the Washington 10. Heineke was sacked for -8 yards. Ryan Robinson does a left end for 8 yards, fumbles, but the ball goes out of bounds. More on those fumbles later. And then Gibson at 3rd and 10 just ran it up the middle for 5 yards.
I was okay with that.
Yep.
I know a lot of people were not okay with that. I was okay with that because
at that point in time, there was 1:23 left to go on the clock.
Right.
If you do what the Giants did and you pass the ball, it's incomplete. You're giving them a whole minute in overtime where all they need is that field goal.
That's right.
Which, by the way, you were having a great defensive game, but you started kind of having some slip up there. As there was the drive before, they drove for 36 yards, and then this was another one by the Giants where it was just a weird. It's 4th and 3. You think that they're going to go for it, and instead they take the delay of game at the Washington 45.
Yeah.
So instead of taking what would that have been, a 55-yard kick at that point?
Well, it'd have been like a 62-yarder, I think.
62-yarder? I mean,
from the 45
left to go in overtime.
I think you at least go for it. What was it, 4th and 3?
4th and
45? Yeah, I think you go for it there. You have to. But and what was the big talk at the beginning of the year for the Giants was coaching matters. Brian Daboll is coaching circles around the rest of the league and everything. He wasn't coaching circles around the rest of the league. They were playing way above their talent and beating some team. They were beating the same teams that Washington's beating, all the bad teams, but they had a couple of good games there where they beat Baltimore. They beat Tennessee in the first game of the year when they went for 2 at the last play of the game and got that. So I always thought that they weren't as good as their record. So if you want to call that, they're a little bit fraudulent, I kind of thought they were. I'm not saying Washington's better. I'm just saying I didn't think the Giants were that great. And then they're kind of showing it now, as these last few weeks have shown. They're not that great. When they have to throw the ball, just like with Washington, when they have to throw the ball, trouble. You don't want Daniel Jones throwing the ball that much. And then, but the whole Washington thing, what really baffled me about this game is that for week after week after week during this winning streak, and what was it, 6 out of 7 that they had won, they had figured out to run the ball, to max protect or put 2 tight ends in, and then they got away from that. Next thing you know, they're trying to protect Heineke with the 5 offensive linemen, who we know they're not good at that. And that spelled doom for this team because Heineke's not that guy. Heineke can't go back there 41 times and expect to have great results. So the play calling was everywhere. I don't understand what was going on in this game. I don't understand what this team was thinking, what Rivera and Scott Turner were trying to prove to everybody. I don't know. But they got away from what they do well, which is run the ball with 2 tight ends and just pound people into submission. And then max protect when you have to and have 2 or 3 guys out in the pattern. And they got away from it. And I don't get it. I don't understand why that happened.
I mean, I think part of that was because they ended up down. They were up 10-0, end up finding themselves down 20-13 and needed to score with a certain amount of time. And that was part of the problem. And I like HT here. I'm going to start calling him halftime. Although I do ask you one favor, if you can phonetically in the comments section, give me how to pronounce your name. And so I can stop being an idiot and stop calling you HT. But thanks to this comment here from our man HT. Well, is Turner the weak link? I mean, JDR has turned it around. Why hasn't Turner? And if so, who could we look at to replace him? I don't know if we're ready to replace him. I like a lot of Scott Turner's designs. The execution still is kind of lacking. And then there are some, like you said, getting away from the run there. You had a successful run game. Brian Robinson Jr., 21 carries for 96 yards. Antonio Gibson, 9 carries, 39 yards. Both of those were over, the 4 yards per carry, which means you run it 3 times, you're getting a first down. Curtis Samuel, who I called in the beginning of the game, I said, I just feel like Curtis Samuel was going to have a 20-yard rush. He had a 20-yard rush, and Washington wasted that effort in overtime. But unfortunately, 36 times running the ball yesterday to 41 pass attempts. And like I said, I know part of that is the fact that they were down and needing to get back into it.
Of course.
But what in the world? But
they weren't down like 14 points. They were only down a touchdown. No, do the HT. Okay, so HT. Is Scott Turner the weak link is what HT is asking us, right?
Yeah.
He can be. Oh, I can't believe this light.
He still does some of those bizarre play calling that you hate to see. The double reverse on a 3rd and short.
Right. The weak link is really simple to me. The weak link is the offensive line / pass protection. That's your worst part of your team. Right now, you've got a backup right tackle. You have a backup right guard. Okay. You have a backup center. And then on the left side, you have Charles Leno and Andrew Norwell. And we know Norwell's not that great, especially in pass protection. That's what you have. You have backups from the center all the way to the right. Next week, you're probably going to be without Larson. You're going to be down to your 3rd string center again, like they did last year. And you're going to be down to your 3rd string guard because Cosme's probably out again. And you got Cornelius Lucas as your backup right tackle. Right? So
who wasn't even playing? That wasn't the right tackle this week.
What do you mean?
Cornelius Lucas wasn't the right tackle.
Yeah, he was. And Cosme was playing right guard because Trey Turner was out.
Who did I see on the starting lineup though? It was a different name. I swear to goodness. I know I'm getting old and senile.
Yeah, you're getting senile. But that's the weak link with this team. So what Scott Turner has done well in the last month and a half, in these last 6 or 7 games, he has recognized this weak link, and he knows he can't have his offense running that way with those guys. So he's had Cole Turner in there. He's had Logan Thomas in there. He's had John Bates in there to help protect Heineke, to help with the run game. He's had 2 and 3 tight ends in the game at a time. And he got away from it this week. And I understand that they were playing from behind the entire second half, but they weren't 14 points behind. They weren't 17 points behind. They were 1 touchdown behind. You stick with that game plan. And in the first half, you look at the tape, you didn't see that. You still didn't see the 2 tight ends blocking for most of the run plays. You just had the 5 guys, and you had these tight ends going out for passes. And it doesn't make sense to why he did that. But that's the problem. Then you have Tyler Larson get hurt. Then you have Cosme get hurt. Now you're going to have your second, third string guys all along your offensive line, and that's trouble. That's why you need John Bates in there. That's why you need Logan blocking. As good of pass catching tight ends these guys are supposed to be, you need them to help protect Heineke. Heineke can't go back 41 times and expect this team to win. You just can't do it. And that's what they did this week, and I think that's the biggest reason they ended up with a tie.
I mean, you're not wrong. They did allow a lot of, and pass protection, the O-line, you're saying. Because they opened up holes for the run. They did a lot of their job there. Mm-hmm. But they definitely fall. And I kind of agree with Caleb here. The coaching staff was tricked by the top 10 O-line, top 5 O-line.
Who was saying this?
Statistically, Washington had one of the better lines last year. Caleb saying, talking about how the coaching staff was tricked and thinking that this line was really good because it was ranked as like a top 10, top 5 O-line, and never fixed it when Taylor made them look better. And this is one of those things that we talked about here, is the reason why the offense or the line looked better last year is because they were also doing the things that the playbook allowed. Now, you also had an all-pro, guard on there. Mm-hmm. And as much as people, and it's probably right not to pay him, Sheriff, that kind of money.
Yeah.
But losing that level of talent, you're going to get worse. Not having your starting center again. And this is what scares me going forward with this offensive unit is Nick Martin is going to be responsible for calling, the pass protection.
Nick Martin's going to be responsible for giving the ball to Taylor Heineke, and that's a problem. That was shown to be a problem when he was playing earlier this year.
He did have, maybe he's fixed those issues. I mean, they had a plus size male model who was playing center at one point for them last year. Surely Nick Martin can hold down the fort for a little bit, but to me, it's that that unit needs to play as one, and a lot of that comes from the center calling out some of that path, the protection that's supposed to be there. Now Heineke's supposed to kind of get in there as well. Or at least most QBs get in there and they help call out. Hey, there's the mic, and hey, watch this, to kind of help the line shift and everything. But they're all taking their cue from that person. And now you're going to be missing that person. You're going to have Cosme, who was already shifted away from his right tackle position to play guard, which we all know that I dislike. So find some other solution. Now, don't ruin your right guard of the future or right tackle's future by shifting him inside. And instead, that's what they had to, because who are you going to start? Sadiq Charles? Is he injured, or is there something else going on? Like
he's just not good. He's just not a good football.
He's not good. I mean, we're going to have to start Chris Paul, and I'm not talking about the point guard. I'm talking about the 7th round rookie who has been behind all of these people that the fans have been trashing. I do feel like they get an unfair rap because they do things well sometimes, right? Like we talked about the run game. They do that well. Even in pass protection, Charles Leno talked about this in his little skit as a news anchor. Their last 2 wins prior to the Giants, Heineke wasn't sacked once.
That's right. Not one time.
So they were doing something right. Now, part of that something right is what you had brought up, and that's just not trusting Heineke back there.
That's right.
And running.
Throwing the ball 20 times, 22 times, 24
You didn't get a
times.
chance to say it yesterday, so I'm going to give you the chance to say it. What is it? What do they got to do, Stoner?
Run the ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And they didn't do enough of that.
Every
last week
offensive
or this week.
lineman, every single one, you ask every single offensive lineman, they want to go forward. Okay. They want to hit a guy. They don't want to back up and get hit. So all offensive linemen are better at run blocking. That's a no-brainer. But here is a hot take. I don't know if it's really a hot take. This offensive line is not very good at run blocking. They're not. They get a lot of praise for the run blocking when you look at the stats and you look at what Robinson has done this last 2 weeks, 100 plus yards and then 96 yards. There's not a lot of holes there. Okay. They're bouncing them. He's breaking tackles, which is what all backs do. I totally get that, but he's very good at it. So they don't have a lot of holes that they're running through. So I kind of I take issue with people saying that they're very good at run blocking. I don't think they are actually very good at it. And if they keep doing these end arounds, these wide receiver, jet sweeps, right? Didn't Samuel have a 20-something yarder?
Yeah, 21-yard
sweep.
jet
Was
sweep.
that a jet sweep?
That was a
Right.
jet sweep.
They got to keep doing stuff like that. That helps pad stats, but also, that's effective. That's helping your offensive line, which is not very good, by tricking it up a little bit, by having Curtis all this motion that they constantly have. So I do take a little bit of issue with people saying that they're good at run blocking. I don't think they're actually that good at it. They're not very good offensive linemen. You want Charles Leno there because he's a good left tackle. He's not a great left tackle. He's not terrible. Okay. He almost got Heineke killed yesterday. That wasn't because
That wasn't his
bad.
fault, though. Yeah,
It wasn't because he's bad. It's because it was a communication issue.
Yes.
Right.
The protection was called. He blocked the person he was supposed to block. Heineke's supposed to know that guy is going to be coming
Unblocked. Right.
unblocked. It's his job to get the ball out before that guy, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, but I mean,
miscommunication. But Charles Leno is getting beat up for that a lot. I appreciated Jen, who we've had on the channel. She popped in on Twitter and she was just like, "Get off my man!" Like this is so, because there was a professional who broke it down, and what it was, and
they moved the
Schwartz was who it was. And so she was just like, "See, Twitter line judges.
Right.
Here you go." And because it's right, it's not wasn't his fault. You can tell that's not who he sees the guy lining up 3 yards away from him.
Right.
He deliberately blocks the guy he's supposed to block.
Yeah.
And no one else thought, hey, maybe Heineke wasn't like, oh yeah, maybe I should get this ball out quick as I'm sitting at with the end zone to my backside.
Mm-hmm. But Andrew Norwell, he's not a great guard. He's just not. There's a reason.
He's a journeyman.
He's a journey. He's a jag.
Yes.
He's a jag. You got to.
I want to make sure that we're stressing. We're not harping on these professionals who are top 10% of what they do in the world.
In the world, that's right.
So when we're calling them not good, I want to make sure people understand that we're saying that NFL maybe below average guard for that. So they're journeymen relative. For a reason. Yeah, that's relative. And like I said, they're journeymen. These are people that Washington picked up off the street. Trey Turner, Andrew Norwell, even Charles Leno was somebody who they picked up from Chicago last year.
Yeah,
who developed into a good left tackle. He's not Trent Williams. He's not gonna make the All Pro, but he's a good left tackle.
Yeah,
more than serviceable.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's a reason that Tyler Larson, who has done extremely well to kind of solidify the center position when Rouye went down, and then they had not Zach Martin, but Nick Martin, right?
Yeah, Nick Martin.
Wish we had Zach Martin, but we had Nick Martin, and then we had Wes Schweitzer playing center. That didn't go well, right? There's a reason Tyler Larson is a backup center, okay? And he's fine. He's average to probably below average, but he was doing fine. And then you have, like you said, Cosme. He's playing out of position. He's supposed to be a right tackle, but your right guard, Trey Turner's hurt, who wasn't that good to begin with. And then you've got Cornelius Lucas, who's not supposed to be playing. The only reason he's playing is because Cosme was hurt, right? So you've got all of that issues going on with your offensive line. And again, what Scott Turner has done really well in the last month and a half, 2 months, is he has devised plays to overcome the weaknesses that he has. And that has led to the success that the team has had over the last month and a half. Whereas this particular game, for whatever reason, he got away from it. And I thought he got away from it early. I know he definitely got away from it late when they were down, but he got away from it again early in the third quarter. You're down, well, it was 13-all. And what happened is Heineke got hit back there. It was a 5-man protection. There was no extra help. And he's scrambling around, running around. And what happens? He gets hit. He fumbles. They're 20 yards away from the end zone, and they easily score. Now you're playing catch up the rest of the game.
Yeah, they had a Curtis Samuel right tackle for 2 yards. Heineke pass incomplete. And then Taylor Heineke sacked, which meant that it was another pass play. So you open it up with 2 pass plays to 1 running, and you paid for it. The next drive, they had Robinson up the middle, Robinson left guard, Robinson left end, Antonio Gibson right guard, Brian Robinson right guard, Brian Robinson right guard. And then this is where the penalties hit. Okay, this is the drive the penalties hit. Notice what I just said there. How many plays in a row was that running the ball? Yep. Brian Robinson. Let's see. Let's count them up real quick. Brian Robinson. Show your fingers. Brian Robinson up the middle. That's number 1. Brian Robinson left guard. Brian Robinson left end. Antonio Gibson right guard. Brian Robinson right guard. Brian Robinson right guard. And then you had a penalty, false start penalty. Okay. So by the way, in that there were starts at 1st and 10. There's a first down. There's a first down. 2 first downs off of how many times running?
6 times in a row.
6 times in a row. Effective play calling. Then you get the ball all the way down to the 32-yard line. You get the false start. Okay. So now you take what was a 2nd and 8 to make a 2nd and 13.
Yep.
And you do a short pass to Terry McLaurin, who takes it for 15 yards.
First down.
Thank you, Fabian Monroe. Another first down. Then you have Antonio Gibson. Then Curtis Samuel. However, penalty. Logan Thomas, illegal block above the waist, which a horrible call.
I thought it was fine. He blocked him in the back. I mean, it was kind of in the scrum of everything that's going on, but he blocked him in the back. Is that called on every play? Absolutely not. It was a penalty. By the letter, by the book, by the letter of the law, it was definitely a penalty. Seems weird that they called it at that time and in that situation.
Yeah, it took away another first down.
Yep.
And then you had Taylor Heineke sacked right after that. And then Taylor Heineke, short pass just to get it out there. But that should have been another opportunity to, put points on the board. And instead you washed it away.
What this team cannot do, they're incapable of doing, is overcoming those types of penalties. They can once in a while, they'll get a big pass play. Like you said, after that false start, they had that play to Terry, who stretched out for 15 yards on it. They can do it once in a while, but this offense is not built for that. Well, the quarterback is not built for this. The offensive line is not built for big plays, for, explosive pass plays, for coming back from 14 or 17 down. They don't have that in them with this quarterback. Not with this quarterback, not with the quarterback that's still sitting there with the bad finger or whatever, and not the quarterback that was drafted in the 5th round. None of those 3 can do what this team needs to do to overcome the inefficiencies on the offensive line and whenever they get backed up behind the sticks. But as long as they can continue to run the ball and continue to get those first downs that way, then they can be effective. Are they beating the better teams in this league? Not consistently. Not with this quarterback. You have to have at least a decent quarterback who can overcome those deficiencies that this team has. And you look at Taylor's stat line, he had great stat line. I mean, he had
it was okay. It wasn't
75, bad. 2 touchdowns, no picks, right? He had a quarterback rating over 100.
Yeah, QBR 27.8 though.
Yeah. He
Took
was
5
not that great.
sacks. He averaged 6.7 yards, because
Yeah.
he threw it for 41 attempts.
Yeah, you don't
He
want him
only had
throwing 40
275.
times.
It was not a great day by any means. Not
Yeah, it
bad.
was, yeah, the stat line though was pretty good. But if you watch the game, he was missing so many open receivers. He was
Oh, yeah.
throwing high. Why was he throwing high? He's too short. He can't see over the line, so he has to throw it. And I know, and he has bad mechanics. Okay, he just
The
has bad
mechanics are pretty.
mechanics.
The
I don't
mechanics are
understand that.
inconsistent because there's some time
Mhm.
where he gets behind that ball and it
And he
looks
zips it.
looks great.
Right.
And then he just goes back to some poor mechanics. Here's one from a stat here for Taylor Heineke. In the final 4 minutes of fourth
Mhm.
quarter this season, this is
Mhm.
thanks to Al Galdi, by the way, he's 17 of 22 for 223 yards. That's 10 yards an attempt.
Mhm.
A TD, no interceptions, and also has a rushing TD to his name on there. He has 2 fourth quarter comebacks in 2022 and 5 since the start of 2021.
Mhm.
Why can't we get the final 4 minutes of a fourth quarter Taylor Heineke all the time? What is holding him back?
I don't know. I don't know if it's mental, if it's something that's blocking in his brain. I don't get it. I don't know why he can't do that the entire game. Listen, that last drive that he had, not his last drive, but the drive to tie the game
Mhm.
when you absolutely had to have it, he was brilliant on that drive. That's the best drive he's probably ever had as a Washington Commander. He was fantastic in that drive. He did everything right. That fourth down pass to Curtis Samuel was spectacular. Rolling left, running for his life, throwing back across his body, right to Curtis Samuel.
Yeah,
That whole drive was
particular
excellent.
throw that we've seen him miss earlier in the game.
Yes.
Absolutely just nailed it there. This last drive, 8 plays, 90 yards, took 1 minute and 58 off the clock, which is important because they only had 3:43 to start with. It was a Heineke pass to Terry McLaurin, who took it for a first down. You had another first down, so Taylor Heineke passes a short to Curtis Samuel for 6 yards. Incomplete pass looking at Jahan Dotson. Incomplete pass looking at Jahan Dotson. And then that was that fourth play that you just mentioned. Goes for 20 yards to Curtis Samuel. 1st and 10. Taylor Heineke pass short to Jahan Dotson. No gain. Taylor Heineke, which by the way, someone else mentioned it. Those wide receiver screens just need to stop. Just need to stop it. That's what that one was. We're lucky that Jahan Dotson didn't get killed out there. 2-minute warning hits. You're at the 47-yard line. He passes deep left to Curtis Samuel, 25 yards, and then it was Jahan Dotson time. Gets it short middle. Jahan Dotson just whoop right by a guy in for the touchdown. Make sure we give Jahan Dotson the credit for that touchdown because he did more work than Taylor Heineke. But to your point, Taylor Heineke was moving the ball that time. And you'll notice not a single one of those was a rush play.
Right. They were just throwing the ball the entire time. And he was great. He was an A+ quarterback on that drive. He was the best in the NFL on that drive. He was he was elite on that drive. You could not do anything better than what he did on that drive. Why can't we get that more often?
Screen to Jahan Dotson.
What's that?
You said he couldn't have done anything better. I said minus that wide receiver screen to Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, that was a play call, right? He got it to him.
He cannot throw those screens.
He cannot throw them very well.
Life.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but when he's throwing from center to sideline, it just takes too long. The defense gets there, and it's scary. It's just scary.
But But the baffling thing is why we can't get that throughout the entire game. But it does show you what he has that a lot of other quarterbacks don't have. And whatever you want to call it, you want to call it moxie, you want to call it balls, whatever it is. Jonathan Allen said Taylor Heineke has the biggest balls he's ever seen in a quarterback. Okay. And that's saying something. He's played with some not very talented quarterbacks that have had that sort of moxie about them as well in college and in the NFL. But there's just something about him when he is under pressure, when the game is on the line, and he has that urgency, he comes up big. And I just wish we could see that all the time, because then we would never mention Carson Wentz. We would never talk about Sam Howell. But he just can't do it over the course of the game, and I don't get it.
A lot of people, to include our man Trev, calling for Carson Wentz. I like this one from Tougher Guy. It's Taylor Heineke just prospers in chaos. There's something about it that, and I mentioned this before, watching him is like every play is almost broken down. Now, he as a broken play, he's gotten rid of that a little bit, but that's still there. That 4th and 4 to Curtis Samuel. I think there was probably somebody open there a little bit before, but he didn't go for it. And then he kind of scrambles and you're thinking, okay, is he going to run for the 4 yards? And he kind of strings it out and he just makes that beautiful pass. And it was kind of, it was interesting. Now, this comment from Metaphor, I disagree with, but I'm interested where you stand on this. The scheme needs to have fast tempo offense more often throughout the game, not just at the end when down. That's when he succeeds.
Oh, well, it's curious. I don't have any problem with that statement. I happen to agree with it. I don't know that he's going to be successful at it, but I think when he's out there, and whoever said it earlier, that he excels in chaos, right? And that's kind of what an up-tempo system is. It's kind of chaotic. It's go. Don't think about it. Just do. Get your guys lined up. Get your line protected properly. Get the ball and go, right? That's what a fast tempo does. And he does excel in that. But there's obviously something. Look, we're not privy to what goes on in the locker room. We're not privy to what goes on in the meeting rooms. So we don't know why Scott Turner and Ron Rivera do not trust him to do that throughout the course of the game. But there's got to be a reason.
They did play a little up-tempo.
Yeah, I did see.
I was surprised when they did that early on, and it did seem to work for them. But the reason why I disagree with this is because this is an offense that thrives on ball control. Okay. And if you're playing up-tempo, you're taking what would be a 10-minute drive down to a 5-minute drive. That puts your defense or less, and that puts your defense back out in that position, which you don't want them. Our defense is much better when it's well rested. When they don't have that time in between, they're going to struggle, right? Yeah. They had an amazing second half after kind of putting up a little bit of a stinker in the first half. They had a great first couple of drives against there. They forced the fumble after 4 plays. They did give up 22 yards, but they forced that fumble. Then they had 3 and out with 3 plays, -5 yards. But then they allowed 8 plays, 45 yards. They allowed 5 plays, 81 yards. That was that big pass play to Slayton on that one. And then 13 plays for 66 yards and ending with a field goal. So, but a large portion of that was, if you look at what happened in between those, the particular touchdown play that they had, the offense was out there for 3 plays, 9 yards, 2 minutes. So they were just out there. The defense was out there for 8 plays, 3 in nearly 4 minutes, gave up a field goal, is immediately back out there and gives up the touchdown. You can't put your defense in that. We said that these work together. It's kind of like the pass protection, or not the pass protection. It's kind of like the rushing. Our defensive end, our defensive line is going to thrive when the coverage is good, and the coverage is going to be good when the defensive line's playing well. Yeah. And when you're not working that symbiotic relationship, things don't work well. The offense has to do well. In this case, they have to have those long drives. So if you bring it up tempo all the time, you're putting yourself in a bad position, especially if you don't make it. Look at the Daniel Jones 3 big pass plays. If you're going up tempo, if you're playing that kind of college ball where you go 3 pass plays and you don't take any time off the clock, all you're doing is giving the other team the chance to score. Can't afford to do it. So that's why, and so Metaphor's clarifying here. Wouldn't say do it often, but more. Do it once or twice in the first half if previous drives are stinkers. Maybe that's the case. And like I said, they did that this time. There was I was surprised to see it. They didn't huddle up. They didn't snap it right away, but at least they didn't huddle up. They were trying to get them kind of there. And Bosky wants to know, why are we still doing RPOs?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're doing RPOs. It's not really a run pass option. it's really a read option, which is a little bit different than an RPO. But a read option is, am I going to hand it off or am I going to run it? Whereas RPO is, am I going to run it or pass it? But everybody wants to see Taylor use his legs more, and that's another thing that we don't. And I think that's what they're saying. What Bosky is saying is that we all want to see Taylor running more, because that's what differentiates him between a lot of other quarterbacks, is the use of his legs. I mean, he got famous because of what he did in that Tampa game,
dive,
right? When he got out and he was using his legs all over the place. That's what makes him a little bit different. That's what gives him an advantage over these other quarterbacks, because it's not his arm, it's not his ability to throw guys open or anything like that. So he has to use his legs, and they're not designing plays like that. That's another thing. But again, maybe the reason is they don't want to risk him out there, because Sam Howell's your backup, and they don't want Sam Howell anywhere near a live football game when the playoffs are right there in their grasp. So that could be why they're doing that. But it was also in that second half, they had back-to-back drives where they had an 11-play drive and a 12-play drive, and they ate up over 14 minutes of time and got 0 points out of that. And they didn't even go that far. I mean, it was a total of somewhere around like 75 or 80 yards in the two drives combined, 23 plays, and they went like 80 yards and got 0 points out of that. And that's hard to overcome. They just, the overall thing is, they're not good enough from the quarterback position to overcome these mistakes, these fumbling in your own end, your own red zone, your whatever, your own 20, your penalties that get you backed up to 2nd and 20 and things. They're just not.
Yeah, they're not good behind the sticks at all. Yeah, you brought up one thing I think that's kind of important. And before I move on to this particular next topic that I want to hit, they got a fumble recovery. Mm-hmm. They turned it into 3 points. Giants get that fumble recovery. They turned it into 7. That's a big difference by the end of the game. I mean, and that's not the only kind of difference that happened. I'm not quite here with P4, a little bit with this, but mainly he's going to bring us to our next topic here, which is we should have won the game. He brings up Sly missing that field goal. Where do you stand? Should we have won, or should the Giants have won? Both teams had plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which team should have won? Because I've seen a lot of Giants fans, a lot of people were talking about the refs. If you look at Giants Twitter, they're complaining about the refs. We're complaining about the refs. There was definitely a lot of strange no calls, some that were difference makers. Terry McLaurin was absolutely interfered with at the 3-yard line by Fabian Moreau. The guy who's seeing it throws the flag, convinced to pick it up. I don't know what happened there, but that would have been a difference maker. But then on the flip side, Stoner, you also had, when the Giants were driving, you had F.A. Obata like on top of the Giants offensive line as they snapped the ball. But because it was the hurry up and just spike it, they didn't call anything.
Right.
That would have been a free 5 yards. That would have actually put them within 5 yards
range
for that field goal range. And instead, we got lucky there. So who should have won this game?
Well, let me say, just from an overall standpoint, Washington should have won the game because they outplayed the New York Giants overall. They whooped them in every aspect of the game. More yards, more first downs. The turnovers were equal. The time of possession was huge in Washington's favor. Especially the second half was insane how bad we beat them up in the second half. But again, you can't overcome those penalties. You can't overcome that Percy Butler penalty. You can't overcome the missed field goal, all of those things. And then when it got to overtime, the Giants should have won the game. The Giants absolutely should have won the game once you got into overtime, because they played better and they just had more opportunities in overtime. Luckily, their kicker didn't have the leg for whatever reason. It wasn't that far of a field goal. Was it 58?
Missed the.
That's far, but he should be able to make those. And why didn't we have anybody back there to catch the
try to run it out?
Yeah. Why not? You had nothing to lose. It was the end of the game, right? Why not try and run it back?
That would have been something. That would have been something. I
can
take
they in the
I take a
NFL?
little umbrage with yes, absolutely they can.
Okay.
You don't remember the Devin Hester run back off of missed field goal?
I don't remember that, but I'm sure.
Yeah. Put Jahan Dotson back there. Let's see if something happens. I take a little bit like I said, umbrage with you saying that the Giants should have won. Their first drive was 4 plays for 9 yards. And they had to punt it away. That was Washington's chance to win. And that's where they missed it because they were even, they got into Giants territory.
Yeah. And then got what exactly happened? They had was there a penalty on that one, or was that just a bad play?
Brian Robinson right for 2 yards, Curtis Samuel right for 21 yards, Brian Robinson left for 3 yards. Then Brian Robinson left for -3 yards.
Yeah.
Taylor Heineke passed short to Curtis Samuel only for 1 yard. And so you ended up at a 4th and 9. You took that 1st and 10 after a huge 21-yard run, and you go nowhere. Now, part of that was, and this is to your point earlier about this offensive line not being actually that good at run blocking. And this is something I said 2 weeks ago. I want to be good at running the ball when the opposing team knows we have to run it.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
And we ran Brian Robinson left tackle -3 yards.
Yeah.
And that forced a Taylor Heineke pass. And again, Curtis Samuel, I don't know. It's a 3rd and 10. You're trying to win the game. I don't know why we're throwing a 1-yard pass. Maybe give your team a little bit better chance there, but it happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said the teams kind of played evenly in that overtime, but I thought they had obviously the better chance. I mean, they're the only ones that attempted a field goal. So they had that.
Washington, I think I felt like Washington was closer. And let me verify that. So Washington did get all the way to the opposing team's 41-yard line. And that's actually the best because the Giants got to the 45, and that's where it was that weird 4th and 3, and they took the penalty.
Look, this whole Daboll is a coaching genius narrative from the beginning of the season. You can throw all that out because he got out-coached. He even admitted it in his press conference. He said, I got out-coached. Ron Rivera coached circles around me. I made that part up, but I'm saying he said he got out-coached. So, and we saw it out there. I'm surprised they didn't do the last year's Jake Fromm kneeling or something when they were down in a game or whatever. What was that? They were
the QB sneaks. They called
QB
like 3 QB sneaks in a row. It was the most bizarre play calling here. So let's go ahead and move on here to these go-goes and no-goes. Who do you got? Let us know in the comment section right now. While you're typing those out, make sure you go down there, hit that like button, hit us up. Make sure that you're supporting the channel that way. That's all it takes.
And by the way, to add on to that, we're only about 7 subscribers away from 2,000. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you have, tell your friends. We're 7 away. 7. It might be even closer now, but
my personal goal for us right now is to get to 10,000 because I found out if we get to 10K, we can actually do the donations right here on our YouTube channel. We don't have to send you away. You just hit that super chat button and the donation for that video goes directly to the organization that we want it to go to. So 10K is the next goal. Well, 2K is the next goal, but as we make our steps, we'll get to 10K eventually. So we appreciate all the support there, but let's get it going on the go-goes and no-goes. We got a couple already in the chat, some absolute studs in there as well.
What do you want me to go with first?
Go. Give me a
go-goes. Okay. So
always go-goes first.
I think I'm going to go with, since we haven't seen or heard from him since early on in the year, but Jahan Dotson, you see what he can do when you put him in space and get him the ball in space. And I thought Jahan was very good this game, especially that touchdown pass. Like you said, that was 10% Heineke. That was 90% Dotson on that play. Poor tackling on the Giants, but whatever. You can chalk that up to Dotson making them look foolish, trying to make the tackle. So, yeah, let's give Jahan Dotson some love for showing up and making some plays. Jahan Dotson's my go-go.
Yep. 9 targets, 5 catches, 54 yards in the touchdown as well. The game-tying touchdown. kept it going. We got a lot of love in here as well for Brian Robinson. He had himself a day as well. 21 carries, 96 yards. He also had he had 2 catches for 15 yards. Starting to see him a little bit more in the passing game, which I think is pretty exciting. I want to see more two back sets. Get them both out there.
Yeah, and then let's not get caught up in our feelings. Brian Robinson is RB1 on this team.
Easily.
Yep.
I mean, I still think Gibson is going to be the more productive back at the end, but that's just because he's going to be doing so much more. EP with the scoreboard and Daron Payne. Daron Payne had himself a game. Absolutely.
He's always great. It's like I say with Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, they like automatically, they're like in the go-go Hall of Fame. Let's just put them up there in the Hall of Fame. They don't need any more votes. Okay, they're in. So we don't even have to call them out for their go-go's because they're always
out. Terry McLaurin. I have a good little trivia for you here with Terry McLaurin here a bit. Yeah, a lot of Daron Paynes, B Robs. Let me give me my go before we move on to the no-goes here. And mine's going to be Curtis Samuel. He also, this is a game. They're coming off of a game where Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel had 1 target and 0 catches. To going to a total of 16 targets in the pass game, 11 catches. Curtis Samuel 6 for 63. And then he also had 3 rushes for 23 yards. Now, granted, that 1 for 21 is kind of booing that a little bit. But just a great day all the way around for the wide receivers. These 3 wide receivers showed up and did their thing. And I want to keep seeing that. And we'll see where we go with Taylor Heineke on that one, because who is he going to be consistent enough getting those balls to the playmakers? By the way, 12 targets for Terry McLaurin, who had himself 105 yards. I'm going to give you your chance to tell me. Terry McLaurin has had 4 100-plus yard rushing, or not rushing, but receiving games this year. Can you name who they're against?
Indy, right? The last game before this one, which was, who did we play the last game before? I can't remember. Whoever it was.
We had are you saying they had it against Atlanta, Houston, Philadelphia, or Minnesota? Atlanta. 48 yards against Atlanta. You
How
were
many?
correct. 113 against Indianapolis, but 48 against Atlanta.
Oh, then it must have been Houston.
Incorrect again.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought it was very recent.
55 yards against Houston. You're not necessarily too far off. It was in November's 128 yards against Philadelphia. So he's got 1 against the Giants, 1 against Philadelphia, 1 against Indianapolis. Can you name that last one?
Green Bay.
Nope.
No, he had that Terry's down there somewhere catch.
73 yards and a touchdown on that one.
Definitely wasn't the Bears. I don't think anybody caught
41 yards on that.
Anything against the Bears. You got the Lions, you got the Jags, you got the Cowboys. I don't mention it
so far.
No, the Vikings. I don't know.
It was the Eagles. The second
Eagles twice.
He's had 4 100-yard receiving games. 3 of them have come against division opponents, and that's what I like to see. It was week 3. He had 6 catches on 9 targets for 102 yards. Love me, Terry. Absolutely just golden for a go-go there.
Quick 5-second rant. They're going to waste the Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson trio, the talent that they have, if they don't figure out this quarterback position. And they have to figure that out, because you have 3 absolute studs in that receiving core, and you're going to waste it with, I mean, you're already kind of wasting Terry's because of all the quarterbacks he's been through. And
but if Terry resigns, Jahan Dotson's on a rookie deal. Curtis Samuel's the one who's going to be gone by the time a QB comes here, because Curtis Samuel only has 1 more year on that 3-year deal that he signed. Let's get to the no-goes there. Now we've talked about all these golden boys that we've got. Let's get to the no-goes.
Yeah, I know people are going to want to say like the referees and all that, and the O-line, of course, but I think it was Scott Turner on this one. I just thought he got out of his lane. He got out of what has been working for him so far this year with the extra tight ends in for blocking and pass protection and all that. And I don't. They must have saw something on film where they thought that they could handle this defensive line with their 5 offensive linemen. They must have figured that that's what they could do, and that was their game plan. But I thought it was a poor game plan, offensive game plan. And so I have Scott Turner as my no-go.
I think that's fair. I liked HT here with his Washington red zone play calling just continues to be awful. Specifically, HT's talking about that first drive after the fumble, 3 points. You get down to the 20-yard line, you come away with 3 points. Now, the Giants have been pretty stingy about their red zone defense, but you just got to turn those into more points when you're down there. You cannot consistently do that. You're not going to like my no-go. There's a couple ones in here. Smitty Jr. going for Logan Thomas, Christian Holmes in there, Norv Turner from Mandalorian going all the way back, blaming the dad
for having his son
mistakes there. Joey Sly's got to make that 52-yarder. That's my no-go. I know I picked on him before, just teasing about the extra point. I mean, he is coming off an excellent month where he was November's, special teams player of the month for the NFL.
Yeah.
But you pay the guy to make those 52-yarders. He has the leg. It ends up going just wide right. And that to me was the difference maker. In the end, I kept saying it on the live stream, we're going to look back at that missed field goal as the chance that got away. And
you gotta overcome that. That was in
the
first half, right?
No, it wasn't. It was second half.
Okay.
It was second half. But the thing is yes, you got to overcome it. There's still time on the clock. But that right there, if he makes that 52-yarder, you end up, in control. You were still playing from behind at that time. It was 20-13.
Okay.
And he misses that field goal. That should have been 20-16. The next drive, that touchdown drive, should have been what put you over the top. And then you just trust your defense to do its thing.
Yeah, you got to make that.
Yeah, instead you just didn't get there. So he's been really good though. Yes, Yam, absolutely. 7 for 8. I'm not saying on the year that he's bad. Just that when you're looking at specifically at this game and what you could have done different, making a 52-yarder's got to be at the top of that list.
I agree. I don't have any problem with that. Absolutely. He's been very good, but you got to make that kick.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and move on to the pay up time.
All right.
Let's see how we did here on the pay up. Again, I'll get a full graphic on for our next day after reckoning, which will be in a couple weeks as Washington hits that bye. But let's see where we got. Hopefully I got a working pin here. There we go.
All right. So first of all, let's do the scores. Nathan had Washington 22-18. That was pretty close. Trev had Washington 23-16. That's pretty close. Stoner had it 20-19. I had the Giants winning 20-19. Stoner wins that one, although there's no dollar on that one.
I don't think anybody wins on this one. I think in a tie,
20-19.
That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You still had a team winning, and no team won.
Okay. All right. We had some really good dollars this week, and I haven't even checked these, so you're gonna have to let me know kind of what the stats are. Stoner and Nathan said that Washington would have less than 4 sacks on Daniel Jones. I think they had 4. But we said less than 4.
Yeah, we were gonna say.
Was it 4? Washington had 4.
They did have 4 sacks. So Trev's gonna win that one.
Trev won $1 there. Stoner said that Daniel Jones would have over 45 rushing yards.
He did.
And Nathan and Trev went against that. He
definitely had 71 yards on 12 rushes. By the way, interesting rushing statistic from New York on this one. I know that they have more running backs in their stable because we saw them, but in the box score, you only see Dan Jones and Saquon Barkley.
That's it.
30 rushes, 134 yards.
Just those two guys.
Just those two guys.
And I thought they did, by the way, very well in kind of bottling up Saquon Barkley.
Even Dan Jones
kind of hurt you though.
Even after the first half, I really think they did a great job bottling up both. But that first half, they were giving up some really big chunk plays, and both had a long run of 21 yards there.
Mm-hmm. All right. This is the one that I had almost given us $1 as soon as we made it because I thought it was such an easy one. But Trev said that Heineke would have 0 interceptions and 1 fumble. And it's exactly what he had. So Trev won that one. That's unbelievable that he nailed that one. Stoner and Nathan both said Sly would not miss a kick. So
Oh my goodness. Sly,
Trev won
let
that
me
one.
down even in dollar.
Yeah.
I'm not
Tre-
doing well here. That's 4 misses in a row for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Trev's rolling. But then, just keep Trev going and he'll make some really bad dollar
That
dollars.
52-yard miss. I keep thinking it. I'm just like, man, what a difference maker that would have been. Oh, even more than the penalties, even more than the fumbles, which the fumbles I felt were a problem. Brian Robinson got called for 1 fumble. He actually gave up the ball another time, but the play was already called dead. I don't think it was called dead. And then he was just like, okay, I'm just going to go with the ball. I think it was, he was still pushing. Play was called dead. And then the ball got knocked out.
Oh, wow.
So Brian Robinson is probably going to be holding on to the ball all bye week long to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Because I don't believe he even ever fumbled in college. So that's the first time he's ever actually put the ball on the ground since college at all, ever. Trev said that Tress Way would draw a penalty. I don't know why he said that, but that didn't happen.
I'm thankful to get the $1.
Yep. We'll take it. Nathan said Tressway would have less than 5 punts. I don't know how many he had.
He did not have less than 5.
All right.
He did not have less than 5. He ended up with 6 punts for 265 yards, 4 inside the 20. We need to vote this man in for the Pro Bowl here. Who went against me on that one?
Both Stoner and Trev.
All right. I'm continuing my downhill slide this week.
Yes, you are. And it shall continue with the next one. Trev said that Terry would have 99 plus receiving yards, which he did.
Terry McLaurin?
Yep. So Trev won that one.
And who was against him?
Stoner and Nathan both went against it.
Why am I going against my man Terry? Why did I do that to myself?
Know. Stoner said that Saquon would have over 100 yards. He did not. So Trev and Nathan won that one.
All right.
So you got one back there.
He was looking pretty good there for a long time. Out of that 134 yards, though, he was outrushed by Daniel Jones. He had 63 yards on the day, good for 3.5 yards per carry. Again, I think Washington's defense did a good job.
Very good job.
Him late, not so good early. We saw a lot of that with Atlanta where they did the outside, then the inside, and the Giants were kind of taking that same thing. And then finally the Washington Commanders kind of came to and were like, no, we can't allow these guys to rush on us.
Yep. Stoner said that Washington would not have a rushing touchdown. They did not. So Stoner won that. Nathan and Trev went against it. You're having a really bad day there.
Really bad day. You know how bad of a day I'm having? I'm pretty sure I had a parlay on that too. I think I had a rushing touchdown on one of my parlays.
Oh, really? I took a parlay with the Cowboys last night, by the way, just off subject here. And I went to bed early, but I saw my parlay was kind of going really well. And then I saw they scored 54 points. And one of the things in the parlay was Dak would have 250 yards passing. He didn't even get close. He had like 175. They scored 54 points. How did he not throw for at least 250 yards? I was blown away by it. Anyway.
Yeah, I had him throwing for more than 199, and he didn't even
even get there.
I thought I was on cue to win that parlay, and that didn't happen. By the way, Metaphor brings up a great point here. Obviously, we're going to look at the full score. If Washington wins in regulation, Tress Way only has 4 punts.
Yeah, well, we didn't say in regulation. We said in the game.
No, we don't have that one.
All right. Trev said that Washington would have a punt return over 20 yards. And I don't believe anything. I don't know that they had any return yards, did they? Erickson did one.
Erickson had 4 punt returns for 26 yards, the longest of 14.
Oh, he got kind of close, but Stoner and Nathan won that one.
Erickson's been doing okay back there. Just like Dax Milne. Nothing special, but realistically, you just want your punt returner to just not fumble the ball, right? You want them to just keep it or maybe make some positive yards, great. Every now and then you're going to get a Devin Hester. Peoples Jones had a kind of Josh Cribbs like run back yesterday for the Browns. But realistically, you're not going to have a Mitchell, right? You're not going to have someone like that who's going to be, a playmaker. You just need somebody who's consistent. Erickson and Dax Milne have been providing that.
Trev, and this is the last one. Trev said the Giants would go 3 and out on the first drive. I don't know what they did.
Who's a 3 and out?
The Giants.
The Giants were not a 3 and out on their first drive.
All right.
They were 4 plays and a fumble.
Oh man, they went 4 plays.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I don't know what the numbers are.
Yeah, I'll do the numbers later because I don't want everybody to know how bad I was that day. I mean,
I'll let you know how bad he was.
I was a -3.
That's it.
That was it. Yeah, surprisingly enough.
Come back at the end.
Yeah. Trev was even on the day, I think.
Wow.
Right? So, no, sorry. Trev was +1. I think that's the first time we've ever seen him in positive numbers.
Right.
And you were at +1. So, actually, I will say a 4-point swing isn't the end of the world for me. Wasn't the greatest, but not the end of the world. Last thing, Deshaun Jackson. That's a good one, HG. Absolutely. That's another one back there.
I thought maybe he was asking about James Thrash. That's what I was thinking. That's probably going too far back.
That's going way back.
Oh,
not Deshaun, a white guy that we had from Philadelphia. Wide receiver a few seasons ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe James Thrash. He wasn't white, but he was light skinned. So
yeah,
I don't know,
if you can think of it for our man Smitty, make sure you hit that in the comment section. One last thing to talk about today before we close out, sir, is a tie. What does that mean for Washington going forward?
Well, it's just kind of what everybody is talking about is where do you put this? How does it work for you? It can be good. It can be bad. We all know it. It's not as good as a win. It's not as bad as a loss. But here's what I'll just say about that. The last playoff spot is going to either be the Giants or the Commanders, period. And this next game in 2 weeks against Washington is going to decide that because of this tie. Okay. If it was a win or a loss for either team, then it'd be totally different. But because of that tie, I truly believe that one of those two teams are going to take that 7th spot, probably at 9-7-1.
I was about to say last week or on Wednesday, you said that 10 wins is what you needed. And I agree with you now. 9 is the magic number.
Well, 9 is the magic number because of that tie, right? That's why you're saying 9 is the magic number. Because I don't think a 9-win Seattle team is going to, because they're going to be 9-8, right? And I don't think a team like Seattle is going to get to 10 wins, if they don't win their division, or San Francisco. Who knows what's going to happen now that they're on their 3rd string quarterback. So I think it's all going to come down this next week. This next game in 2 weeks in Washington at FedEx Field is probably going to decide the 7th playoff spot, because I believe they're going to be 7-5-1 when they get there. They're going to lose to the Eagles this week. We're going to be 7-5-1, and the team that ends up at 7-6-1, they're in deep, 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 deep trouble.
If the Giants do lose to the Eagles next week, which is likely, as EP points out here, we have the leg up because we do have a division win, and the Giants will then be 0-3-1. And so if that game, then we beat the Giants, we're looking pretty good here. The great Watubi showing up and giving us some love. Giving us
what he normally gives.
50-cent donation, half a super chat for a tie.
That's hilarious.
I do think that the tie is going to benefit Washington in the end.
I think so.
It's obviously not a win. A win would do more for Washington, but a tie keeps us in the running, to include against Seattle, who is not a guarantee to win those games, but is looking fairly decent. I agree with you. I think the last playoff position, whether or not it's the 7th or the 6th, is going to come down to Washington or the Giants. And I think Washington has a leg up. Maybe it's because of what Caleb says here, an easier schedule. Jimmy G is out for the 49ers. We'll be touching on that subject this Wednesday. So you're going to want to make sure you tune in for that. We'll be back on Wednesday at 7:30 right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. As always, it's been a great chat. And I think Washington is okay. I have actually, sorry, before I actually do close out.
Yeah.
One last thing. I am not wearing the onesie because Washington did not win.
That's good.
Makes perfect sense, right?
Yes.
My question is for you, Stoner, and for the chat here, when Washington beats the Giants in 2 weeks, which will be a Sunday Night Football game, which we'll be talking about our feelings on that again on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
When Washington beats the Giants that Sunday night, do I continue wearing the Commanders onesie, or do I have to, so when they lose, I have to refresh it? Do I refresh it off of a tie?
Yes.
Technically, they're still on a winning
Right,
streak of sorts.
But they didn't win. You can say you change it with a loss, but you can also say you change it when you don't win. And you didn't win. In this case, in the standings, it's not a loss. In the onesie standings, it's a loss.
So I got to switch it.
You
We
gotta
released
switch
that
it.
great with Tubi here saying we
Yeah.
got to switch it. Type in the chat, switch or keep it. Mandalorian says butt naked. Hey, this manscaped body's looking pretty sharp right now. So maybe, just maybe, EP on the switch it out as well. Johnny, to answer your question, let's say Giants lose during our bye week. They'll be 7-5-1 just like us. We win the tiebreaker. Division record is going to matter there. So that's the important part. Division, they'll have a worse division record and a worse conference record at that point, which is why it will give us the leg up after next week. And then you got to beat the Giants to further put them behind.
Yeah, and that's all true, of course, but you're playing each other the next week. That's going to be the tiebreaker. Whoever wins that game will then obviously have the leg up. But you're right. If it does come back to the next tiebreaker, then you will go to the division record and we'll be on top there.
Yeah, we got to finish out the season strong to make sure that this tie doesn't matter. Gregory, last zing right here that I'm going to give the crowd is I can't believe the NFL watched yesterday's game and said, yes, this is what we want for Sunday Night Football.
Well, but it's just the importance of the game. I mean, it really is.
It's a very important game. It is.
It's almost a playoff game this week. The loser is in big, big, big trouble because you have to overcome that tiebreaker and you have to go past the other team, and also possibly the Seattle/San Francisco loser of the West. So yeah, this last week I said was not a must win, and I'm kind of proven right here because they're still right there. Now it's a must win. This is the biggest game in the last couple of years. This is a monster, and we got to show up at FedEx on Sunday Night Football.
Absolutely. We will be there for that Sunday Night Football. We will also be back right here on our YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitter at 7:30 on Wednesday, where we are going to be talking about the bye week. We're going to be talking about our season awards up to this point. So you're not going to want to miss out on that. And until next time,
Yes, sir.
be a fan.